This is the voice of freedom. We are not one voice. We are many. We are your voice. But we can only be effective if you use your voice. Your voice. This is the voice of freedom. We will not hide from the truth. We will ask the hard questions until we are sure we have the truth. Welcome to the voice of freedom, where your voice will never be silenced.
John Wilson. I'm the former president of the Trades Hall Council in Canberra, and I'm here to fully endorse Ricardo Bosi and David Graham in their quest to be elected for the New South Wales Upper House in the forthcoming general election in New South Wales in the next few weeks. Both these guys are cookers, but they're our cookers, and we need our cookers inside of the parliamentary kitchen. You understand me? Now, Dave Graham, wild boy. Ricardo Bosi, he's an officer and a gentleman. And Ricardo Bosi will, he'll grab the parliamentary chickens by their scrawny chicken necks, and he will make them squeal like a fax machine. That's what he'll do. David Graham, Guru, he's a different proposition. David Graham, mate, is a concreter for Wollongong, and you can't stop him. You cannot stop him. Dave Graham drives me mad. Now, if he drives me mad, he's going to drive New South Wales Parliament and the New South Wales deep state insane. Yes, he will. We need our cookers inside of the parliamentary kitchen. Dave Graham will let the gas run for a few days inside of their kitchen and walk up and light a smoke. And guess where he'll throw the match? Right inside their kitchen. They won't know what hit it. Now, you can't stop concreters. We had a saying inside of the unions when I was the state secretary of the CFMEU, the only way to stop a Wollongong concreter was to hit him in the head with a swinging crane hook. That's how tough these blokes are. We need him in, okay? Dave Graham, Ricardo Bosi, New South Wales Upper House. If you can't provide lots of hours, then open your doors and welcome, host some visitors from Queensland, from Victoria, from South Australia who will come interstate if they can find somewhere to stay, and they will volunteer. They will put the arms and legs in. Email, phone, everyone. If you're out of state, phone people in New South Wales that you know, and make sure that they know who Ricardo Bosi is and who David Graham is. Promote them. Okay? We need to get these two cookers in because they're our cookers. You got me? They're not the pissants cookers. They're the freedom movement's cookers. They're ours. Thank you.
The great man himself, John Wilson. And got to reiterate exactly what he says. They are our cookers, so get behind them, folks. How are you? How's your Wednesday going? I actually spoke with Guru today, and I wanted to congratulate him on his spot with John Laws yesterday. As much as Laws, I think, wanted to get him off the phone initially, I think Laws thought he might try and outsmart Guru a bit. Didn't work out that way, though. Yes, I'm sure there will be detractors, but I think he did a bloody awesome job, don't you? Absolutely stunning gig. So who's in the show tonight? G'day, Sue. Who else we got? Paul's in there. Hi, mate. Barbara, Aussie Pride. Good on you, Marcus. Markitos. Sorry about that. Yes, about 20 minutes up the road from you. Good on you. He lives in a very beautiful part of the world. Yeah, don't we all, Kanga Collins? Well, I don't know. Their vote might be just the same as the Victorian vote, don't you think? They might have just the same kind of issues. Could be a bit of a problem going forward, but I guess that's part of what we're doing here. We're trying to see how honest the count system is. I saw a video today I think that Michael put together as part of Cafe Locked Out with a gentleman down Coffs Harbour Way who has been a scrutineer for 35 years. And he's had arguments with senior members of the Australian Electoral Commission. Just let me get my phone out. Senior members of the Australian Electoral Commission saying that they are nothing if not bloody corrupt, because they are doing exactly the wrong thing. They're turning a blind eye. They're sending in untrained people. They're working them long hours. Like I know from experience that they're scrambling to get people at elections, because I lined up to be a scrutineer in both the state and federal elections, and I still get pestered for it, even though they should have marked my file as unusable, because, none of that. And of course, you can't be allowed to walk the streets delivering, news to people if you haven't had any of that. So I don't know. Spicy dart does seem to be a magnificent thing. G'day, Lefty. I haven't seen that photo you were going to send me, mate, and I'm probably glad about that. So don't go looking too hard. I hope all goes well in your part of the world, mate, and I hope to be out that way soon. We have a mutual friend who I'm coming out to catch up with, I hope, if I can catch a hold of him. The gorgeous Aussie Sue. How are you, sweetheart? I hope you're doing well tonight, and I hope your week is doing all right. It's hump day, so don't get any ideas. Yes, I have had a haircut. I had to go and do something. It was driving me insane. And sorry to Sue in Brisbane. Yes, I know I said I'd give you a call. I discovered I don't have your phone number. And it was just driving me mad. So being a professional hairdresser, I imagine you're well booked up. And I didn't want to trouble you. So I went and got the shears out today. And I did the hard bit. My daughter did the cleaning up. And, well, it is what it is. Not terribly flash, but, it's out of my eyes. I guess that's the best thing, and not tending to look like Dr. Julius Sumner Miller every day, because I wear hats a bit, being a bit of a pale skin and freckly kind, and getting out in the sun can be difficult. Now, I started a little bit late tonight. I apologise. I started out late because I was just out having a very quick smoke before the beginning of the show, and a CH-47 Chinook came over, very low level, and going like a bat out of hell. Now, I live in the eastern suburbs of Brisbane, so if you are in or around Brisbane City at the moment, in the last 10 minutes or so, you would have seen or heard more definitely. Now, these helicopters, you can tell they're a big, heavy helicopter, and it's dark at the moment. Unless it flies close to you, you're probably not going to see that it has two rotor systems. But this is one of those big, super heavy, big lift choppers. They can carry quite a few people. I think you can roll a Humvee in there, or an ASLAV, or just about anything else. And of course, can carry huge fuel bladders and all that sort of stuff. Now, they're coming over the coast because I live very close to the bay. Now, can't tell in the dark what flavour CH-47 it is. In Queensland, we have a squadron of them located in Townsville, so it's not unusual to see them. It is unusual to see them where we are. This is a sort of a flight lane, if you like, for helicopters, so I'm not surprised they're coming in this way. But these helicopters are not likely to be flying up the coast doing a scenic flight. They sort of do point A, point B, go as hard as they can kind of thing. So that is the third time today we've either seen that chopper or one similar to it. They've flown in over the coast, waited for about, half an hour and maybe an hour, and then they fly back out again. Now, that indicates to me that there is a ship offshore of Queensland somewhere. So I know that there are a few people here who watch the skies very closely. Maybe you want to jump on your flight radars. I just haven't had time to do it, and I haven't got it loaded up on this machine, so I don't think I can share it with you. Have you noticed I'm doing things a little bit differently with cameras? I'm sort of being a little bit of a just found out there's something going wrong with Rumble for some reason. What's going wrong with Rumble tonight? Is it going to let me edit it? No, it is not going to let me edit it. All right, my apologies to those folks who might be watching on Rumble. Well, they're not watching on Rumble. Let's hope they've come across here. What was I saying? Yeah, those choppers. Keep an eye out for them in Brisbane. If they're going to Amberley, not too surprising. But if they're, landing in a suburb near you, I'd be really keen to hear a bit about it. I was talking about the cameras. So I'm using the new system. I've got two of the cameras set up. The other one is actually up there. And so you can sort of see my bed and shit in the background. So that's why we're not using that one at the moment. I have torn my bedroom apart to try and make this work today and haven't managed to quite put it back together yet. So I'm going to stick with that one for the moment and see what we can play with. And I've got a screen here behind me that I can actually use now to bring up different, another computer with different stuff on it to give you a bit of a look. So that's the plan, but it's in early stages. And I have to say at the moment, it is a bloody mess. So I wanted to show you a couple of little things tonight. Now, John, of course, and what he said about Guru, absolutely, I couldn't support that more. As I said, Guru and I had a bit of a chat today, and he's very excited, and he has every right to be excited. I mean, he has some very, very, very exciting plans coming up in the near future, and I think we're all going to find that we're going to be very surprised at just what is going to be put together here, because I think Ricardo and Dave have quite a plan, and the best way for us to support them, even if you don't like them very much, and I'm serious about this, folks, even if you don't like them very much, sorry, I'm sharing something I didn't mean to share straight away, but we'll get onto that bit in a minute. Let me pull that back out. Even if you don't like Ricardo or Dave, or you think Ricardo's policies are a bit strange, or you think Dave doesn't have any policies, at the end of the day, they're going into the upper house in New South Wales, so their policies don't matter. And if there are only two of them, even if they had policies, the rest of the parliament would be against them. So as far as I'm aware, there are Dave and Ricardo and two others running as independents that will support them. Now, the likelihood of getting four people in, well, who knows? It depends on you. So if you're in New South Wales and you don't particularly like Dave, or you don't particularly like Ricardo, but you really detest government and what they're doing to us at the moment, the fact that we have absolutely no say, they are not listening to us at all, and we know that there are issues with our elections worthy of serious, independent, criminal investigation, I believe. So from the top down, the apple is rotten, absolutely rotten. What do we do about it? Well, all we can do at the moment is try and elect good people in. And if we can't get them into power, then we can at least get them in to oversee what those in power are doing. And should that, be a protest vote for you, then I would tell you, encourage you, embrace Guru and Bozy as your protest vote. Because the worst that's going to happen is you'll have two people sitting in the upper house rather than some numpty who you never voted for because they got in on preferences that you didn't know about. Well, don't do that. Make it a protest vote. If you don't like what government is doing at the moment, put one, possibly two, good people. They are good people, folks, right? Put two good people, possibly four good people, into the New South Wales upper house and watch them scramble, because they will be able to have access to everything. The doors will open. And do you think that they will stay closed to all of us through them? I don't believe so. I think that the boys will take every opportunity they can to let the people know exactly what's going on in the New South Wales Parliament, and by inference, maybe in other parliaments around the country. And if that's the case, then we, the people, need to take back our sovereignty, take back our rights. When did government ever get the power to lord over the people? That's what it comes down to, folks. When did government, something that people created, we the people created, when did something we the people create, and did we create it with the view in mind of letting that which we created dictate to us? Now, there are those, folks who invaded the show, and I haven't been looking at the chat to see if they're back in there again tonight, who would say that, I'm talking weird and wonderful things there. Well, no, I'm not trying to stir up trouble. What I'm trying to do is elicit people who are unhappy with the system to stand up and make sure that their protest vote counts, rather than, drawing a dick on it, or, writing Harry Truman or some stupid name or whatever the hell you do when you don't want to vote. This time, really protest, really make it count. And try as hard as we may, with a little bit of luck, the people of New South Wales, who I know are deeply unhappy with their state politicians, will be able to fight back. It will be a brilliant thing if we're able to do that. Absolutely brilliant thing if we're able to do that. So that would be my encouragement to you. Protest. If you don't like the boys, it doesn't matter. Even though I know them both personally, they are gentlemen. And after listening to Dave's phone conversation with John Laws on 2SM and the Super Radio Network, I listened to it this morning, so I guess it happened yesterday. I was very impressed. Laws tried very hard to trap Dave and get him to incriminate himself, or at least to say something potentially, allegedly, about Laws himself, because we've all seen the videos, and there is a familiar face that pops up amongst them. But Dave did not rise to the bait. I thought he handled himself extremely well, and John, while sounding polite, he wasn't sounding polite. He got very dismissive and very insulting, I guess, toward the end. But what is he, 90 nearly? I think he only comes out to work every other few days, because the walk from where he is in Darling Harbour to where the station is in Pyrmont's probably a bit much, and he doesn't do the walk too much anymore. He'd have the driver do it for him. The driver driving him, of course. So some days the golden microphone can be bothered, and some days the golden microphone can't. But yet, yesterday when he talked to Dave, I thought Dave did a bloody brilliant job. And as I said to him today on the phone, you're not going to be able to get on mainstream talkback radio. They're going to start blocking your phone numbers if they already haven't, and I'm pretty sure they will have by now. So you're going to need access to a lot of different phones to be able to ring in and try and get on like you are. And they'll block every one of those numbers as they become aware of it, and they will be sharing it within the station network themselves. So that will also happen within the wider cities community. So what I'm talking about there is that if you ring up and you annoy somebody at 2GB and they decide to block you, not let you get on the air anymore, then they have a way of doing that in the computer system, the phone system that they use. Now, that phone system is linked to the phone system at 3AW in Melbourne, 4BC in Brisbane, and 6PR in Perth. So if they block you in Sydney, you're automatically blocked on all those other network lines, because they do network programs and stuff like that comes out of there. They occasionally switch the open line to across the country, so it could be answered from anywhere, and they want everywhere to be blocked to you. It doesn't mean that you won't hear the phone ringing. You will. It's just no one will ever answer it. It doesn't take up a line on the radio station's board, call board, and you just get sick and tired of listening to it ring and hang up eventually. It's a very smart way of doing it. Now, what can also happen in towns and cities where you have this kind of thing happening, people within the stations will share those details with people on other stations that might be having the same issue and can't block you for whatever reason, or don't know your number yet, or they're worried you're going to call them, that kind of thing. So they'll have your number blocked before you even ring them the first time. There are ways and means around that, but we'll talk about that maybe at another time. My suggestion, though, is that you don't have to wait for Dave to get on the phone and be able to get through. We can make every producer, every radio talkback producer in the country terrified of answering the call that's coming through. Because if you keep going, you keep flooding the calls, if you keep ringing those numbers, you keep filling up those lines, don't abuse the person who's answering the line. Accept whatever it is they say. Oh, are you calling up to, talk about Martha's Wool Mix? Yes, I am. Oh, okay, great. Hold the line. And eventually you'll get on the air. All right. Now, the secret to that is there is a radio delay. It's usually 7 seconds. It can be up to 10, but usually 7 seconds. Now, what you have to maintain is a semblance of talking about Martha's Wool Mix for at least 7 seconds so that they've got you on the air. All right. After that 7 to 10 seconds, people out in the rest of the world will be hearing what you're saying. So you have to take that into account, because if you blurt it all out in the first 5 seconds, they're going to dump you, what's called dump the call. And they will just go, and here's the name of the next caller. You won't even make the call list, even though you think you got to air. You won't have. So there's a couple of little hints. If you want to get on, and then you get on and start talking about Ricardo and Dave and how you need someone to fight back for the people in the upper house, to identify the bullshit legislation, to call it out, to call out the corruption associated with it. I mean, you may not last too much longer, but you'll confuse the host, you'll confuse the guest, and you'll get out what you have to say. So make it short, make it concise, but flood them. Every radio talkback channel, every hour they open the lines up. You'll give anxiety to every show producer that has to answer those calls, because they'll never know whether the person they're putting on the air or not is actually going to talk about the subject they're trying to talk about on the air. So there you go, just a hint of how to play the game a little bit from the radio side. Television, got no hope. Everything's pre-recorded. There aren't too many of those folks working in the television stations these days that can actually do things live, so to speak. So, bit of a concern that. Anyway, I did want to show you this thing from Japan. Unbelievable. The Japanese encephalitis virus vaccine eligibility has been boosted in South Australia as the flood cleanup continues. Now, the article goes on to mention Ross River fever and a few other mosquito-borne diseases that two of them I'd never heard of before. And I've got to admit, Japanese encephalitis virus, just saying, Japanese encephalitis virus vaccine eligibility has been boosted in South Australia. Now, the problem is they don't have very many of these boosters for this sort of thing. Now, I believe if you get this encephalitis, it's a nasty, nasty thing. Probably more nasty than the spicy cough. But unfortunately, South Australia only has very limited stocks, as does every other state. And because Japanese encephalitis virus has had a breakout in South Australia, the other states are a little bit concerned that those mosquitoes somehow might fly east, west, north, or south and infest the rest of the place. So they're going to keep their Japanese encephalitis virus vaccines safe in their storages in their states. They will share a little bit, but not a great deal. So people in South Australia, I understand the floods, were a real thing, and obviously there are significant challenges facing people in those areas, and we're hoping to travel through some of those areas pretty soon. The folks in South Australia can email me, and we will line that one up. I was talking to Darren Bergworth today too about coming down from Queensland, and I'll get in and talk about him very shortly. And my place, which is absolutely going off, folks, absolutely going off. So, Japanese encephalitis. There you go. So be aware of that. And if you happen to be out off grid in South Australia, then I don't know, get the AeroGuard out. Does the AeroGuard work there? Have you got to get something more determined? Because I've been to places where AeroGuard just seems to attract flies and mosquitoes, and they feast on it, the bastards. But anyway, that's just something I think that happens. All right, what else was I going to show you here? Let me bring up another screen share for you. Oh yes, okay. This is a little video that was sent to me. It's a TikTok video, so I don't know that I will play it. In fact, no, I won't, because it'll only get me banned. That ain't no fun. So no, I won't play that one. That one's also a TikTok video, but might get away with it. So, all right, there is this TikTok video, which I want you to have a look at, and I really want you to look at it closely. So I will, I'll bring it up, and we will.
UFO shot down over Alaska.
Break one, blast one.
Could we have shot down an extraterrestrial craft?
Wow, could they have shot down an extraterrestrial craft? I ask you. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Could they have shot down an extraterrestrial craft? Bearing in mind that we are approaching what could be a world war, NATO seem intent on picking a fight with Russia, although they're not doing it man-to-man. They're doing it through their proxy, Ukraine. And the Ukraine have come out and basically said so. They've demanded more weapons again. Australia is complying again. Albo and his Chinese loving mate Penny Wong have managed to go and I think get another $1 billion worth of aid, we're calling it. That aid won't come in the form of food or shelter or housing for the homes destroyed. It will go in the form of cash or funds for weapons that will be supplied by other countries, paid for by Australia. Because we don't manufacture weapons, we can't give them any other than the ones we've got. We've already given them all the ones we can give away, unless we really don't want to have anybody at home when whoever wants to come and invade. So they've pretty much, depleted our stocks here. So now what they do is they buy their weapons through a third party. Guess who gets a clip on the way past? Certainly not we, the bloody people, that's for sure. So absolutely not flash. But World War coming up, they reckon. Well, don't we see some sort of prediction, or I recall a prediction saying, yep, it'll be a world war, and then there'll be the fake alien invasion. Now, there has been a lot of things shot down recently. In fact, there has been an admission from NORAD that since they've installed some new radar capability in the northern parts of their coverage area, which will be Alaska and the northern parts of Canada, they've discovered a lot more things flying around in our atmosphere than they originally believed possible. So while we know of four, I think we know of 4 hot air balloons, the weather balloons, if you like, the steerable, controllable weather balloons with imaging, radar imaging, and all sorts of stuff on them. We know of 4 of those that have been shot down. We don't know where they were launched from. Nobody's let us know that. We don't know how far they travelled before NORAD saw them, or the radar system saw them. And it seems that from the time they were originally discovered to the time any action was actually taken seems extraordinarily long for a defense force that is geared to shoot things down, well away from its own borders. So curiouser and curiouser, I think, is what we're going to say with that one. Now, I wanted to talk about Darren Bergwerf. We'll wrap things up because I had a really long one last night, and I've got a long way to go cleaning up this bedroom before I can go to bed. So Darren and I had a great chat this morning, and my place is going along like great guns. Haven't got an exact number for you, but we think about 90 at the moment, with new ones coming up every day. And it's marvelous to see so many people wanting to set a My Place up at your place. So keep going, folks. All the details are available at myplaceaustralia.org, or if you go online to Facebook, join My Place Facebook Frankston, and they'll tell you where to start. But really, the starting point is starting a Facebook, a My Place, your town or your suburb, and seeing how many people you can attract to it. Share it around through the marketplaces and that kind of thing. Let people know. It is a place of welcome, of love. We share, we learn, we grow. That's what it's all about. And we help where we can. So Darren and I had a very, very good chat today, and I'm very excited to hear some of the plans that they're putting together for My Place. I hope I get to be included in some of them. It's very exciting, and eventually, folks, it's going to be quite a hub. So you will want to be part of My Place in your town. And if you are any good at organisation, any good at admin, then please get in touch, because they're the best kind of folks to start setting this up. You need organisation. So if you've got that skill behind you and desire to, well, it's not so much wake people up, but be around awakened folk. And if, people who are just opening their eyes come in, then I know from experience in every one of the My Places that I've been to and the people that I've met, they are greeted with open arms, these newly awakening people, and gently nurtured. It's probably one of the most wonderful things about My Place, because it is a gentle eye-opening. And as I keep saying, it's like we are all on the same book. We are just not on the same page. And those people who come in new to our My Places are reading, the foreword of the book. So it's not about conspiracy theories. It's not about, trying to convince people. It's not about sending red pills down people's throats. It's about community, unity through community, and being able to unite people of all different shapes, sizes, colours, creeds. It's not about religion. There's nothing about religion in My Place. It's all about helping community, being part of the community. So I really hope that if you've got the urge, get a My Place around your place. All right, let me have a bit of a look and see what we've got here. Guru did give him a run for his money, that Root Brand gal. Well, if it's the Root Brand gal I'm thinking of, then I love you dearly and I hope you're doing well. Who else do we have here? I haven't heard or seen any UFOs in Australia yet, but well, now that we touch on it, I want to talk about chemicals on trains. Recently, you've seen what's happened in America, in Ohio, a train carrying a number of cars with many thousands of litres of different sorts of chemicals derailed. An axle broke, and that axle brake managed to eventually start a fire after the accident. And not only is there an eco disaster with all of this horrible chemical crap that has leached into, guess what, the water system in Ohio, it's also being burnt, and that smoke is doing what it is. The particles falling from it are doing damage as well. Lo and behold, another train carrying chemicals has crashed in Texas in the last 24, 36 hours. Just wondering whether or not it's going to blow up too. We regularly see trains transporting large amounts of chemicals on them to mine sites around Australia. And those mine sites are located in some pretty interesting areas when it comes to our water supplies. Think of the Snowy Mountain scheme. Now, at the moment, there is a large amount of operations going on up there, roadworks and mining and all sorts of stuff going on up there. I wouldn't be at all surprised if there's large amounts of chemicals going up there, be that by train or by truck. So I would ask you to be on the lookout for trains carrying large amounts of chemicals. And they're usually denotable. Well, I don't know about usually, but I can sort of tell the difference sometimes, because the ones that have got the really dangerous chemicals, the ones that are going out into outbacky areas, are in a kind of container without walls, roof, or sides. They've got the corners and the framing, if you like, but just so they can be manhandled and lifted and moved around. But other than that, they are open. And of course, there's those that carry huge bladders of fuel and all sorts of stuff. Now, what happens if that derails somewhere near a dam that feeds, I don't know, Brisbane, Melbourne, Sydney? What happens? Contaminate the water supply, because that's exactly what's happened. They're also looking to contaminate our food supply any which way they can, and that cloud from the fire will do just that. People are not joking or overstating it when they say that Ohio has been Chernobylized, nearly made uninhabitable. Certainly people within a certain area of where that thing is can never go back. That's how toxic what's going on there. So what we need to consider is keeping an eye out for those trains and report where they are. Let us know. Let me know. Let Guru know. Let us all know where those trains are, because we want to be able to track them. We want to know that they're all right. And more particularly, we want the people who might be playing with our trains, and trucks for that matter, to know we're watching. So I know that there are quite a few truckies. G'day, the Roys, who I met up on the Sunshine Coast the other day. I know that our truckies have got a job to do, but let us know if you know of huge amounts of very toxic chemicals being shipped in places that are near large water supplies, or anywhere where it could affect our water or food supply. I'd be really grateful to learn about it. And then, I'd be very wary of new drivers. God, I've seen what some of them can do. On Facebook, there's a couple of very interesting truckie pages, and boy, are there some wild drivers out there. I was in Mackay last year, and for those folks who've never been up to Mackay, you get quad trailers up there. So think of a normal-sized semi-trailer, but with 4 of those normal-sized trailers behind it. And all of those trailers were, I think they're 50,000 litre. They might be 100,000 litre, like fuel trucks or fuel trailers, all tied together. And one subcontinental driver had managed to get it wrong by that much, and managed to collect something that tore the side out of 3 of those trailers. Very unfortunate, and apparently they were full at the time, so created a bit of a mess. Also be careful of anybody at the moment who's been fully whacked up the wazoo and lining up for their 5th, who I believe Dr. Karl Kuzelitsky is one of those. Kuzelitsky, you know Dr. Karl, the really smart guy. He's made a very proud boast on his Facebook page that he is proudly had 4 shots so far, and he has had COVID twice, and he will be lining up for the 5th in the not too distant future. I can't help but think he's one of the people that'll be getting batch 1. If you know, you know. So yeah, interesting stuff with those chemical trains. I don't think I've got too much to share with you about that tonight. Vax mandates for nurses. What's this one? Any chance? Well, HOFs. That's all to do with APRA, and I think the nurses and the doctors who are still working and still using the spicy dart and encouraging it, all that sort of thing, I think they probably are going to have to be dragged off the job. What is 100% correct is that the federal government has not created any kind of indemnification program for doctors or nurses who are part of this rollout. They did say a couple of years ago that that is exactly what they would do, that the government would indemnify all medical personnel against any claims of damages should there be any adverse effects. But it didn't quite work out that way. So for whatever reason, that particular protection, legal protection, was never created. But doctors and nurses were never informed about it. Now, I believe that every doctor and nurse in the country has been sent a letter from AMPS, the Australian Medical Professional Society, who have said, you do not have coverage, you best go and check it with your insurer. Each medical doctor, at least, has to have their own medical insurance, and I'd be very surprised if their insurance company tells them they're indemnified either. So that's where we're at, a bit of a stalemate. So at the moment, we've got doctors and nurses who either have to be in the job because they've got a gambling habit they need to fill, or they've got a very large house and 3 horses and 4 cars and 6 kids and 2 overseas holidays and at least 18 holes of golf to play a week. And it comes down to need the work. They'll justify it by saying, "Oh, we're here for the people who are sick." But the fact of the matter is, they're being paid. The medical facilities they work in are being paid very handsomely for every person who walks in there and holds their arm out. And they're going to tell you that lots of people are going to take up number 5. I don't think for a minute lots of people are going to take up number 5, except the ones that are fully mandated to and are silly enough not to push back. You have to push back, folks. You have to go and say, where is the indemnity? Here is my piece of paper. Here is the finding in the courts that says you can't coerce me into this, and I cannot be coerced. Here is the finding for the doctors that says you must supply informed consent. You must get informed consent, and therefore you must inform the patient of all of the potential side effects. And clearly, there is enough data out there at the moment to know that 1, it's horrifying. 2, the data that is out there is false. They're lying to us. It's much worse than it seems. And we have to just try and wake a few more people up, I guess. That's pretty much where we're at with it. Dan, Lawsy had too much Valvoline. Know what I mean? God, he hasn't done that in a long time, has he? I'm just having a bit of a scan down here for your questions. Yeah, Mason, good on you. I think so too. Guru should be patted on the back. He did a bloody great job and will continue to do so for the people. There you go. Elizabeth says the Army had a couple of choppers on the move again out Dolby Way and 2 RAF planes on the go as well. Okay, well, Oki, Dolby, I don't know how far they are. They do flight operations, helicopter operations out Oki, of course. But not those big CH-47s. Those big CH-47s come down from Townsville. And they usually don't fly, east out to sea. We don't. Well, I guess we might have a ship, and the Canberra isn't working, but we do have another one of those amphibious ships, so it's possible they're landing on one of those. But I know that there has been a US aircraft carrier off the coast of Queensland for a little while, and if I had to go out, and if I had a set of night binoculars, I might be able to tell you what flavour or which country it came from, but my guess is it's an Australian one being used somewhere. But it's interesting. Haven't heard it come back yet. We'll see how long it lasts. I did take notice. Sunflower, you wonderful thing. How are you? I hope you're having a wonderful week and nothing too wildly exciting is going on that you can't handle. Thank you for your donation or sticker there a little earlier. Love you to bits. Spate of train derailments. Yeah, that's the thing we were just talking about. Thanks, Rob. Yeah, it is a bit hard on my own too. I did have an interview lined up tonight, but they pulled out, and then I got a hold of Darren, and he couldn't turn up either. Unfortunately, he's on a pile of Zooms tonight, and then I rang up another old mate, and unfortunately, he's out having Valentine's Day today instead of yesterday, and so I just gave up. Thought, well, all right, we'll just come and have a chat. I will tell you that John Wilson will be on the show tomorrow night, though. So looking forward to having him on. We'll have a bit of a chat, and I'm sure that there's going to be much discussion about various different things, including I'm not sure if Cooker has gone off to go and have a chat with him or not tonight, or has continued playing with him. I don't really follow it, but I can tell you that Cooker Watch certainly makes an old pirate very happy, very happy. You see distorted. I seem distorted on the screen, Wolfgang. Do I? That might be because I can nearly reach out to that camera. It's not all that far away. And yeah, may not play with this for too much longer. I'm just experimenting to see if these cameras can be used in such a small space. And I really don't think they can. Yeah, Kristen, cool. You live near the bay. You've heard him come over too. Wonderful. Haven't heard him come back. So yeah, let's see what happens. Oh, okay. New carrier came into Pierce. Was it a carrier or was it a amphibious ship with one of those jump decks? They call it a jump deck, got a raised deck on it, so you can. Our F-22s, I think, or F-35s can use it as a short runway, but I think our F-35s also have vertical takeoff and landing capability as well. If not, it's very short field takeoff, and they'll do that on something like one of those amphibs, and then they'll be able to land vertically like a helicopter. They're a very big helicopter deck. I don't know what's happened with Rumble tonight. I must have screwed up something when I punched in the key. Murray River Explorer, LRAD. I missed whatever we were talking about with LRADs. I don't remember talking about LRADs. If people are getting sunburned by an LRAD machine, you are not getting sunburned by an LRAD machine. Long range acoustic device. So noise isn't going to burn your skin. They do hide other things in the LRAD boxes, I'm led to believe, more like an energy weapon, a particle weapon, or not a particle weapon, what I'm saying, an energy kind of weapon. But yeah, there you go. LRADs are more likely to make you feel very sick. You'll get nauseous. They can work at very, very low frequencies, or they can work at very high frequencies, or they can just play music very, very loudly, and they'll pick the worst possible music, or something that's going to drive people away. So when you're surrounded by a network of those sorts of things, they usually play piercing sounds, and if they want to drive you away without the piercing sound, they'll tune them right down, make you feel sick, you want to go home. And in fact, they can tune them down so low that they can do serious damage to your organs internally. Back when subwoofers first really came into being, I want to say the 80s, but it was probably really in the 90s when they started putting them in the back seats of cars. Young blokes driving around, and all you can hear is doo, 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 doo. Sounds like an emu coming up behind you. Well, those big subwoofers were a lot of times mounted right up against the back seat and feeding their sound straight into the back seat, if you like. And when you sat on the back seat, those subwoofers were right behind your kidneys. Now, the reason they call them subwoofers is because they put out a sub audio sound with a frequency that you don't so much hear but feel. And that's why people who've ever stood close to a sub can feel this shifting of the air, if you like, whenever every time it hits a big bass note. Well, you sit in the back seat of one of those cars long enough with the volume up loud enough, and you're going to wind up pissing blood for days because it has a very, very harmful effect on your kidneys, on your liver. Just about every organ in your body is affected terribly badly by the sub part of the subwoofer. And LRADs work the same way, except they have much greater frequency depth. Much greater frequency depth and much greater frequency variability available to them. So they can go from very low to very high. They can drive your dogs mad. They can, and when I say drive them mad, I mean drive them so the dogs will run away, and then you'll chase your dog, you'll run away. So they're helping people leave the area. That's how they view these kinds of things. They're a hell of a weapon. So, just be careful if you see them floating around. We certainly know they've got them now. Yes, Guru had an answer for all of Laws's questions. Absolutely. He did a bloody awesome job, and said so today. He was extremely smart in that he didn't miss a beat when Laws tried to hook him in, and I thought Laws mentioning the Wood Royal Commission and bringing Dave back to that point was an opportunity where some may have thrown up allegations that we've all seen on various other videos when it pertains to pedophiles in this country. Now, had he gone in that direction, he would have been in a lot of trouble. Laws would have snaffled him up and then made him try and prove it. Laws has been around in this game long enough to have a lot of money and got a lot of good lawyers. And he would at the very least tie Dave up in some sort of suit for, well, a distraction, if you like, through the campaign period leading up to the election, and then it just becomes a headache after the election because that's when the suit will arrive. So Dave avoided all that skillfully, absolutely skillfully, and he should be commended for it. So something to bear in mind if you're thinking about ringing up a radio station talk show, don't go accusing anybody of anything. All right. Don't accuse anybody. Don't say that they were allegedly seen doing this, that, this. Just stay away from it. Just push the fact that we need good men who will look after the people before they look after themselves in the upper house in New South Wales Parliament. And those two blokes are Dave Guru Graham and Ricardo, I'm going to come and kick your teeth in, Bosie. It's going to be a bloody great time, folks. Make it your protest vote. If you don't support them, I understand that, but understand they are for us. So if you are awake but just can't step into their court for one reason or another, make it your protest vote in the upper house. Kick out those bastards in there, or at least put 2 blokes in who will make them accountable for every decision they make. And I have no doubt will expose every corrupt decision, every corrupt politician, every corrupt bureaucrat involved in that decision-making process as they go along. They're going to be like that the whole way. Okay, scrolling down. Inna's in the room. Inna 66. 666 rather, not 66. I don't want to run you short. God, does that leave you hornless? If I run you a 6 short, do you not get a horn? There's so many trannies in the movement. That's probably a bad question to ask, now that I think about it. But hello, Inna 66. Still no news from Cooker on whether or not she's going to come for dinner. I haven't got the email. I'm really upset. Let me just have a bit of a glance down. Yep, they're talking about everything. They're talking about the 28, although I don't know that they're talking about the 28 names exactly. But yes, they're talking about the 28. They're talking about all and sundry, child trafficking, the whole deal. So I don't know that they're the only ones doing it, but certainly there aren't a lot of us doing it, put it that way. Okay, very old fogey. Well, you kind of... You've got me up as your... that's very good. I can even tell from which show it was. Righto. They're not getting elected, so their policies don't matter. Well, the fact of the matter is they have one policy, because being 2 people or even 1 person in that place, you aren't going to be able to affect anything like policy change. Okay, all you can go in there and do really is keep the bastards honest, or try to. Now, should enough people stand up as independents, and they don't have to be Bosie or Guru aligned, but if Bosie and Guru were to get in, you might find that there would be a loose group of independents with the balance of power. And 2 of those people, maybe 1, if Bosie is the only one who gets in, will be able to use that position for the betterment of the people. And that means that he'll be on committees. He'll have access to bureaucrats. He'll have access to sealed files that only bureaucrats and politicians are allowed to see, that people like us are not allowed to see. Better still, he'll have access to the historical documents that are hidden away from us. And they have undertaken that they want to expose as much of that as possible. I don't think for a moment they're going to be able to expose it all, simply because there will be some restriction placed over them by the bastards that actually run the parliament and are elected back in from those controlled parties. But they'll be able to tell us that it's there. They'll be able to tell us where to look. They'll be able to tell us the people who have kept it hidden. And should the opportunity arise one day, then potentially we'll be able to go to Parliament House and say, hey, listen, you, and you're out. You're as corrupt as. And we know where the evidence is, because somebody like Bosie or Guru showed us. Now, that's not a policy that's bad for the country, surely. So they're not going to go out there and run on policy, because they're not going to have enough people in there to get it voted through. Their only policy is to stand for the people, to be the eyes and the ears of the people. They're going to be honest. And I believe very transparent to we the people. More transparent than any other politicians, maybe than we've ever seen in history. So, doesn't matter if you don't like them. Do you like the Labor or Liberal Party more? Do you like the Greens or the Blues or the Teals or whatever they're calling themselves? If you don't like any of them, because let's face it, we're in this position because of them. then protest. Don't go and wave a banner. Don't go and march around a street. Don't go and get yelled at by police and local Canberra folks. Really bloody protest. Put Bosie and Guru in the upper house in New South Wales. If that's not a protest vote that really is for the people, I don't know what else could be. I think it's ideal. So please, folks, if you don't like him, I understand. You know, Guru might not be your cup of tea. He swears a bit. He carries on. He can be a bit rough around the edges. But I can tell you, the man has a heart of gold. He's as hard as a tree. And he is dead set, honest as the day is long. Dead set. He's dead serious about going into this. And today, while talking to him, I said, what if you get in? He said, oh, well, if I get in, I've got to buy a suit. He said, won't have a tie, though. I don't think I'm going to wear a tie. But I don't know. Maybe you will just have the photo taken. But, you know, he's not intimidated at the thought of going in there. He wants to get in there for the people. He wants to represent all of us and try and keep those bastards honest. Let's face it, the pricks need it, because we haven't had the opportunity to keep the bastards honest since Don Chip died, I don't think. And there'll be many of you watching, especially on Twitter and Twitch, that don't even recognise that name, I know. Video quality is poor. Righto, I'll have to go back and have a bit of a look and see what's going on with that. It might be the stream I'm using. It might be one single camera. Don't know what that would be. I am throwing a lot of pixels out, so maybe that's the issue. Anyway, as I say, just an experiment tonight. We'll just see how it goes. Tomorrow night I might just be back with the old camera. What would I do here? Even if Ricardo gets in, what would you expect a single party representative to actually achieve? The issue is so much larger. Have you not looked in the past 10 years? Yes, I have, Chris. It's not about what a single party representative can achieve. You're quite right. They can't achieve much. What they can do is watch and report to us. They can see how the machine works from the inside. And they're going to have, what is it in New South Wales, 3 or 4 years to see how the machine works, learn how it works. And I think, tell us how it works, show us how it works, and more particularly, show us the evil bastards that are greasing the machine and taking the money out of it from us. That's what I think they're going to do. I'm sure they're going to do. So that would be the only policy I think that they would be taking in there. They can't take a health policy in, and you're right. If there's only one of them, if there's only 2 of them, nothing they can do. Absolutely right. So that's why we, the people, should have at least one set of eyes, maybe 2. 2's better than 1, isn't it? For the people in that place. It can only benefit you, New South Wales. It can't hurt you. Regardless of what you think of either of them, neither will be able to enforce change. All they will be able to do is witness the corruption from the inside and tell us about it. Show us where to look. Expose those who are corrupt. That's the only reason to vote for them. If you don't like any of the policies that Ricardo put forward previously, and if you don't like the way Dave Graham expresses himself, fine. But you must understand, none of that is relevant for this particular election. This particular New South Wales Upper House election, all you need to wonder about in your vote is, do you want to vote for the evil bastards that have controlled it for the last however many years? Or do you want to vote for at least one, but better 2 sets of fresh, new eyes that are sworn to represent us, the people, regardless of whose skull and body those eyes happen to reside in. Those eyes will see the truth. Those eyes will take it all in. The brain will compute it. The mouth will spit it out to us. And the more of those people we can get into every parliament in these great states and territories of Australia, the better. Because our parliaments in every state and territory have been infested with these black-hearted bastards who are being used. And once they reach a certain level, they know they are controlled. They know they don't make the decisions. Certainly Albo has been made very aware of that recently. Did you see that weird as shit thing with Caroline Kennedy? Something to do with a couple of Aussies, or at least one Aussie playing in the Super Bowl, young Jordan. Don't know how his game went. The other Aussie had a shocker, the kicker, but that's another story. Yeah, that was a really slightly weird, uncomfortable looking conversation with Caroline Kennedy. I mean, weird. Sunflower, thank you again. Just me and Skippy. G'day, you and Skip. All Telstra payphones are free. They can't block those. No, they absolutely cannot. Worthwhile using them. But these days, you've got to drive 20 miles to find a bloody payphone, don't you? They're fairly scarce indeed. Just having a bit of a look here. See if there's anything I haven't. Oh, is Black Sheep in? Yay! G'day, Black Sheep. How are you, buddy? Hope things are going well. Need to have a chat with you. I'll be calling you in the next day or two. Yeah, obviously Deep State doesn't know what a virus is. No, but they do know how to spell the word and scare people with it. And that is very much one of the powerful tools that they have. Unfortunately, yes, Kristen's letting Pineapple have a few details there. Thank you, Kristen. That's great. Should try using an ion foot bath. Okay. How's this? Works like electroplating in reverse, so it strips everything off you rather than put shit on you. Because I used to work at an electroplating factory when I was going to radio school. I was a chromer. Well, I didn't really do the chroming, but I did what we called rack up thousands of BMW wheel nuts that needed to be chromed, black chromed or just normal chromed. And I did a lot of SAS steering wheels, thousands. Just racked them up. They never let me near the acid, but they did let me near the forklift. And well, that was until a wet day when I drove it through the side of a truck. The guy that owned the truck was really pissed off. I put a hole in his door and his seat. And I can understand, I shouldn't have been driving it that quickly. And that was in the days before you needed a forklift license. So, yeah, bit of fun there. All right. Yeah, I think you're talking about that alien video that I showed. I hope they're Mike. Yeah. Don't know that I would pay too much attention to that video, folks. Mike might be onto something. I think there is a lot more CGI involved in that than might be immediately apparent on first glance. So, yeah, don't get suckered in by the alien invasion that's on its way. We've been invaded by the aliens. In fact, there's a very good and strong argument to say that we've been seeded by the aliens. So, speaking of which, in the Pentagon, apparently, at the moment, there are whispered conversations in the corridors of those that know the truth, saying that the Sumerian gods are returning. Now, if you haven't heard of the Sumerian gods before, then please go look them up. You might have heard of them under another name, and that is the Anunnaki. So, apparently, quite seriously, in Pentagon, in upper echelons of Pentagon, in the Pentagon, where they know the truth of the world and what's going on, they are saying in quiet tones that the Sumerian gods are returning and they are shitting themselves. So take that for what you will. I don't know. And yeah, we'll leave it at that, I reckon. I don't think I've got too much more to share with you, and I can't see too much exciting stuff other than the odd troll who comes out with nothing funny tonight. You're all boring as batshit. Especially you, old fogey. I mean, seriously. I'm starting to wonder if you're not involved with one of those interesting new media companies that's popped up. If that's the case, using my memes, my head on your meme is probably better. But I don't know. Not by much, I wouldn't have thought. A bit of a scan down. Unity through community. Loving that. Well, community and brainwashing. Have you ever been, would you ever bother going to a place like my place? What are you going to get brainwashed about? How to grow carrots in your backyard, or how to buy carrots somebody else grew in their backyard? I mean, fair dinkum, you people are fucking idiots. You really are. You'll grab onto anything you like. In fact, that sort of idiocy just does not deserve to be here. So thank you and good night. I mean, that is a level of fucking stupid I cannot deal with. Not tonight. Another one in Arizona, was there? Trucks turned over in Arizona with toxic chemicals on it too. Trucks are going to be our worry here, especially going up the Bruce Highway and the inland highway, the Cunningham, is it, that goes inland in Queensland. The New England will be one that will need to be watched very solidly, and I would say to my friends around Singleton and Maitland and all places around there, be very vigilant. Of course, those train lines might be used to carry a lot more chemical than the trucks, but if memory serves, I don't know if there is a dam close by Singleton, but I want to say there's one further up the New England Highway. I just haven't been further up the New England Highway to find it. It's probably something to do with one of the mines I might be thinking of, but what damage would it do if a chemical spill happened there? Wouldn't be very flash at all. And what would happen in the Hunter Valley? What would happen if the water supply to the Hunter Valley was poisoned? What would we drink? How many bottles of wine have you got stockpiled? Somebody said they doubt they're going to start a fire in Texas. No, well, I don't think Texas wants to start a fire at all. But in Arizona, who knows? Arizona is an interesting, very interesting shit state, little state, especially if you want to go into their voting habits. Yeah, a ton of planes hanging around today. I actually had somebody email me a ton of photos of small planes flying around in various different parts of the country, particularly in New South Wales today. Those areas, you need to be a little bit aware of where training areas are. A lot of the pictures that I saw today from some people were training areas, and you can actually go and have a look where those training areas are and overlay a map, and you'll see what's going on. That's why they don't look like mapping, or they're not flying grids or that sort of thing. They're doing some, reasonably tight turns, and then they might fly in one direction for a while. That could be the instructor instructing them on what to do. You're not getting an altitude height, so what they'll do is they'll go up and practice stalls and all that kind of thing. So just be a bit careful when you're looking for what aircraft are doing and where they're flying around. However, if they are military, all ears, because they can fly anywhere they like at whatever height level they like. As we are seeing tonight, the Chinook that went over here earlier wouldn't have been more than 300 feet, which is weird because they should be at 500 feet coming across, and he's certainly higher than that. So certainly lower than that, and boogieing, like really moving. So keep an eye out around Vegas. Who knows? They might be flying straight over Brisbane, flying out to Oakey, picking up some people, or flying to Amberley and picking up some people. and flying back again. We might hear them come back later tonight. Try and scan down. Chlorine in the water is important. Is imported by ships from China. Yep, I would agree. Chlorine is something we've got to watch for. And I don't know how much fluoride they use in the mine, but there's a lot of other things, acids particularly, they use in mines that we want to be very, very, very careful of. And I would say to guys who are working, driving road trains and taking stuff into the mines, keep an eye out for newbies. I know you probably see them all the time, but this one will have a vague idea of what they're doing and then will disappear fairly quickly. Although, I suppose they could just as easily set someone up, blow an axle on a truck, and whoever's driving it winds up holding the baby. So, yeah, keep an eye out. Keep an eye out, especially and drivers, if you are going past big water catchments, please be extra careful. We all know there are plenty of dickheads out on the road. How can 95% of Australians? No, I don't understand that one. That's lost me completely, Mick. All right, trying to get down the bottom here. Yes, seems like we've been trolled a bit tonight again. How lucky are we? Yeah, Cook is probably getting ready for a big radio show. She could be making her appointment. And what else? Well, Lindy, I was talking to Guru today. So they certainly talk to me. Well, he does. I spoke to Rick before Christmas. We haven't spoken since. He's a busy bloke. I don't ring him much. I don't really care one way or the other. Is it important to you? Why is it important to you, Lindy? And Michael? Just asking. Why is it important to you? Does it really matter? Because if I wasn't, it doesn't really matter if I wasn't talking to either of them, and it doesn't matter for whatever reason. We're still fighting for the same thing. We're still heading in the same place. It's the same mountain we're climbing. I have no problem fighting with them to get where we're going. And if we weren't talking, it wouldn't be a problem. But we are. I'm just concerned why you think it's a problem. Division, is that what you're trying to sow? That's what morons like you usually come up with. So, hello, Elsa. Thank you for your sticker tonight. I can't appreciate that enough. Thank you so much. Hope you've had a good week too. Yeah, old fogey, I'm not going to bother with. The speakers make you feel ill. That's the. I should probably. I can fix that. Let me fix that. Oh, I'll take off my Adobe warning. There you go. Hopefully that doesn't make you feel ill. I don't know, Russ. We're talking about a black dog. Good on you. Hello, Daniel from Gilgandra, New South Wales, Australia. What a wonderful part of the world. I've driven through it often and actually stopped there. And if memory serves, there is a bloody good truck stop in Gilgandra. Want to say it's on the Dubbo side of town, if memory serves. It's been a long time since I've driven the Newell. Now listening to you as well, like the truth, my brother, love and light. Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate it, Darryl. Really appreciate it. And we'll be coming down the Newell soon. Maybe we can get a show in Gilgandra. I'll stop there and have a go. Not a big fan of Coonabarra Brand. One day I'll tell you the story why, but wasn't so much me. It goes back to when I was touring with Col Elliott years ago. QSI was good on Rumble. QSI has been an interesting result from that show, can I say? QSI will be back on Saturday night. I have a list of questions that is this long. My ignorance in that entire realm, obviously, I would hope was pretty clear to see on that show on Saturday night that we put on Rumble. And I did post up to YouTube, but I think they kicked it already. So if you want to see it, it's on the Rumble Voice of Freedom channel. Yeah, pretty ignorant of me in a lot of ways. And I have upset so many people who are accusing me of so much except stupidity. And unfortunately, that's really all I'm guilty of. But we are going to go and investigate a lot more about QSI. And when Jane and Jim are coming back in again on Saturday, I'm very keen to ask. Well, I've got a number of questions, and if you've got some you want to add to it, then please email me, carl@vofhq.com, and I will put them in. Yes, there are questions have to be asked. I now, after having a very, very, very long period of education on Monday with two blokes that I respect and treasure their advice very, very dearly and trust implicitly, who are very involved in this sphere. They understand the crypto space very, very well. And they brought me up to speed with a lot of things that I really wasn't aware of. I really didn't understand. And I will be as basic and as honest with you to say I didn't really understand the true meaning and ramification of the difference between a centralized and a decentralized coin. So that is something we are going to need to discuss further. We are also going to be, looking at a few other things that were mentioned in the show, and hopefully getting some clarity on those issues. I'm not suggesting for one moment that you race off and go and do what these people are saying. I don't know enough about it to recommend it to you. And I don't give financial advice. This is not financial advice. It's not something I do. However, I'm trying to give people information, education, and sometimes when you have none already or a very low baseline of information, you've got to go and ask questions of people. And how do you form a baseline by only talking to one side of an argument? Well, you can't. I didn't realize that I was talking to one side of an argument, and particularly one that so many people are aware of and have very strong feelings about. There is certainly another side to that argument, and I have been talking to them as well. And yeah, we've got a lot of interesting questions coming up. So Saturday night, really think it's going to be great. There is a lot to learn. It is very difficult to understand, for me at least. So it may not be for those folks who've been in it for a while. I was talking to a gentleman today who's also big into crypto. He gave me another lesson, made me aware of how the back end of these things work, gave me a little more clarity in some areas. And this is a wealth of information I really could have used much earlier. But it is what it is, and I can only learn at the pace I learn, and I need to have a baseline of both sides of the argument to understand, find my truth, and find my questions out of that to see what's going on in the hen house. So if you like, you saw part one on last Saturday and part two hopefully this Saturday, and then I will be getting some other crypto folks on to have a bit of a chat, not least of which is our very own Vince, who was there with me on Saturday night. Now, he hopefully will be with us on Saturday night coming, but he's going in for a small procedure in the next day or two. I think he heads in tomorrow and would be home on Friday. So, Vince, love you, mate, and look after yourself. I'm sure it will all go absolutely amazingly well. and I'm looking forward to having a chat with you on Saturday prior to the show, and having you on the show for Saturday night when we go back into the QSI thing. But boy, folks, can I tell you, it has been interesting, and I think it's been viewed nearly 10,000 times on Rumble. So, you know, there are a few people having a look. Mick, the Sharpies, the Rockers, the Bodgies, and the Mods had a brawl in 1973 in Western Sydney. The bikers broke it up. Yep, 100%. Billy Thorpe talks about that in one of his books from memory. I do remember reading that many, many moons ago. Then, of course, the bikies had an issue in the West too, and they sorted that out a few years later in Milpera. Stephen, I don't know who EU is, but you're right. We're not exactly sure what he is. He may not even be human at this stage. So, yeah, good on you. Oh, Alison, good on you, Alison. I'm not even gonna highlight, you know. So I'm with you. And government slavery, changing the guard. Well, yeah, changing of the guard. It's not really a changing of the guard, so to speak, in Parliament, rather than giving the guard better eyes, giving the guard a little bit of power that he's prepared to use. The guard's always had that power, but if we can get Guru and Bosie into New South Wales Parliament, then you can be sure that guard will exercise what little power it has, and that guard will be guarding everything on behalf and for the people. And that'll be the first guard we've had in Parliament in a bloody long time. So, yeah, you could call it a changing of the guard, a changing of a guard that will ignore the people, and a replacing of the guard with a guard that will see, hear, and act for the people. Let's make it two guards. Let's get them both in. Dave Graham and Ricardo Bosie in the upper house in the New South Wales election. I believe the 25th of March is when it's happening. So, folks, postal vote it. If you don't want to go in and be involved on the day, postal vote it. Take a photo of it. Make sure that you take a photo of it and get it sent back in. Make sure that you are not sending it in to your local member's office, because that's a trick, certainly in Queensland, that they play. They'll send out your postal vote and have the return address going to your local member's office. So your local member then opens the vote, sees how you voted, and can decide, in theory, allegedly, whether or not they're going to send your vote in to be counted or not. So make sure that you send your postal vote to the correct place. Do not get suckered by one that's got a return address going to the local members or another political party's address. Make sure it's going to the AEC. That would be my advice to you on that one. And vote early, vote often. What do I say? Well, it seems to be okay for other people. Of course, it's very difficult to vote often here. You're watching your own belly button. Good, right. Another. Well, who's that troll? Oh, that's not a troll. That's Tasha. Oh, good. She's berating a troll. Good girl. No worries. Well done, Tash. And yes, parliamentary privileges. We need to get them ended. Senator Roberts had good news. Yeah, the good news about that was Australia, for whatever reason, has pulled out of the WEF plan to, or the WHO's plan to dictate all our health policies, to bypass our government, to bypass our state and federal health facilities, and to be able to tell countries what to do in the event of another pandemic. So thankfully, Australia has withdrawn. That's good because, well, A, we don't want it. B, it would have been a bloody hard one for any government who got us into that to get out of. It's just a absolute shit fight. Edward, thank you very much, mate, for your sticker. I appreciate it, mate. Really, thank you very much. What is your idea? Yeah, absolutely. It 100% opens the door for more people to step up and do just what they're doing. I mean, if you don't want to vote for Bosie, but you would like to be one of the people who can keep an eye on government for the people, then step up for yourself. Become an independent. Nominate. Anybody can run for Parliament. I think you know, without a criminal record, or maybe you can, even with a criminal record, come to think of it. So, yeah, get into it. If you don't want to vote for them, stand up yourself. If you don't get elected, give your percentage of the vote to Bosie and Guru. Get one of them in. Change the guard. Get a new set of eyes. Protest. Because God knows there is no other effective way of making a protest vote in this country. But what a protest vote it would be to get Dave Graham and Ricardo Bosie elected to New South Wales Upper House. I think it would be amazing. Oh, Disco, is she going on Bolt tonight? That'll be interesting. I know that Dave had some plans for that himself, so don't worry. Yeah. I don't expect them to mention. I've got too many arguments they don't want to talk about. And Cook is running, so yeah, I wouldn't be too worried about ever being invited on any of those shows. Not at all. Yeah, it is quite hilarious. The Cookers are trolling themselves. It's bloody hilarious. All right, folks. I've been going, an hour and a half. That's plenty long enough. I'm just squirreling down through a few of the troll comments, trying not to get caught on them. The magnetic poles have been shifting, Russ. I would agree with that. Yes, the trolls are obsessed with warboats. I don't know that they could identify one if they saw one. Oh, delusion. There you go. Insulting fat jokes. That's the best you can do. Seriously. Morons. You see, now I just block morons outright because you got to come up with better humor. It's just that simple. Better humor. Morons. All right. Elsa, yes, thank you. I did thank you for your sticker. I'm pretty confident. Yeah, so, wow, we got plenty of trolls in again tonight. I need to get Guru. What's this? I need to get Guru into a live with tarot by Janine. I beg your pardon. I don't know. Is Dave into that sort of stuff? I'm sure if Janine offered him a free reading, he'd be all over it. I don't know where Janine is in relation to Guru. And to be honest, I don't know how tarot works. So can you do it remotely from wherever she is and wherever he is? Can you pick them on screen? I don't know. Don't know how that works. But yes, I've never really had much to do with tarot. Now here's some fool asking if I've ever been in a street fight and how many men I've managed at one time. Wow. Do you want to get your dick out and swing it a bit, do you, brother? All up to you, mate. You go hard. Absolutely pathetic. Well, I don't know. We seem to have attracted the cream of the Twatch troll squad. which is wonderful. We, a group of little numpties. Having had a wonderful night reading some of the bullshit that you are seeing, and seeing that we've got a couple of good people pushing back tonight, I'm just going to love you and leave you. It has been one of those interesting, if only relatively slow kind of days, and unfortunately, we are still seeing plenty of dickheads on the road, and as you can see in evidence by the twats that have joined us tonight, unfortunately, those tards made it home. As always, tomorrow.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!